President Trump walks away from the North Korea summit in Vietnam. The anti-Trump crowd assails him, but walking away actually was among the best possible outcomes. We will discuss why. Then Nancy Pelosi hints at impeachment, Julian Castro calls for reparations, and the Democrat First Lady of Virginia passes out cotton to black students at the governor's mansion. I'm Michael Knowles, and this is The Michael Knowles Show. That was not a monologue. I was not telling jokes. I just read a headline at the end, which is that the First Lady of Virginia, whose husband just wore blackface and tried to moonwalk during his apology press conference, was passing out cotton to black students at the governor's mansion. That's just terrific. No way. You can't really punch that up. There's no way to make that funnier. A lot to get to today. We have to cover Trump walking out of this Vietnam summit with Kim Jong-un. I think it was very good that he walked away, and a lot of people are getting this completely wrong. But first, let's make some money, honey, with ExpressVPN. Admit it. You think that cybercrime is something that happens to other people. Oh, it could never happen to you. Your password is like password 123 exclamation point or something. No one's going to guess that one. You may think no one wants your data or that hackers can't grab your passwords or credit card details, but you are dead wrong. Stealing data from unsuspecting people on public Wi-Fi is one of the simplest and cheapest ways for hackers to make money. You're at the airport, you're on some public Wi-Fi. People can get into your stuff. Don't be stupid. Protect yourself from cyber criminals and use ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN secures and anonymizes your internet browsing by encrypting your data and hiding your public IP address. For less than $7 a month, you can get the same ExpressVPN protection that I have. It's rated the #1 VPN service by TechRadar, comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. I know you think, I don't need it. I don't need it. Think of what you have on your computer. Think of your internet search history. All right? You're probably looking at some weird stuff like dailywire.com. You don't want this stuff getting out. Protect your online activity today. Find out how you can get 3 months free at expressvpn.com/Michael. That is expressvpn.com/Michael, Michael. Do I win the spelling bee? 3 months free with a 1-year package. expressvpn.com/Michael to learn more. Okay. President Trump walked out of this Vietnam summit with Kim Jong-un. Other than the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula for not very much in the way of American concessions, this is probably the best way this could have turned out. And yet, for some reason, President Trump's critics won't take yes for an answer. Here's President Trump finally describing why this summit didn't work out.
They wanted the sanctions lifted in their entirety, and we couldn't do that. It was a very productive 2 days, but sometimes you have to walk.
Sometimes you have to walk. That could have been the title of today's show. Sometimes you have to walk. Thank goodness that President Trump knows this, because people are mocking him now. On the left and the right, they're saying, I thought it was the art of the deal. I thought you could make deals, President Trump. Now you're walking away. The willingness to walk away is crucial to making a deal. And in fact, if you are not willing to walk away, as many presidents have not been willing to do, then you give away all of your leverage. Then there's nothing left for you. A lot of people are very happy that these talks broke down on both the left and the right, but here, of course, is CNN, Jim Acosta, a walking hairdo, gloating about it.
So it's strike one in Singapore. He didn't get a deal with Kim Jong-un. Now it's strike two in Hanoi. Once again, no deal to denuclearize North Korea, something that he staked a lot of his legacy, a lot of his presidency on. And Jim and Christiane, in the backdrop of all of this is what happened back in Washington up on Capitol Hill at the House Oversight Committee when the president's former fixer really just blasted away at his former boss, accusing him of being a liar and a cheat and a criminal, basically, and so on. And what was a bombshell hearing up on Capitol Hill. The president presumably will be asked about that as well.
Yeah, and did I tell you, and Michael Cohen, he said he's racist too, and Jim, you're supposed to be covering the North Korea. Yeah, no, I know, but just, you hear about Stormy Daniels? Yeah, okay. What a jerk. So President Trump walks away. What I want to know from the critics on the right who oppose Trump walking away, and from Jim Acosta at CNN and all of the people on the left mocking him, what was the alternative? What was the alternative? I guess one alternative is you never speak to North Korea. You allow tensions to continue to ramp up as they have been since they killed Otto Warmbier, and possibly deal with a land war on the Korean Peninsula where you're risking killing, 30,000 to 100,000 civilians in Seoul. I don't know. What does that mean? Okay, maybe you're willing to do that. Maybe you think that's the best option. Or the other alternative is the Iran nuclear deal all over again. You're so insistent on getting a deal that you'll give away everything. Say, well, we're already here. We're at the summit. I can't possibly walk away. Jim Acosta will make fun of me. So, okay, here, we'll take away all the sanctions, North Korea. We'll completely open you up to the international community, completely open you up to international trade, and you only have to get rid of, one nuclear site. Okay, and that's a deal. That's what Barack Obama would have done. That's the Iran nuclear deal. Walking away shows a position of strength because the United States doesn't need to engage in these summits. We don't need to give away anything. We don't need to lift sanctions on North Korea. It's not as though the sanctions are weakening internationally. It's not as though there's some massive international pressure to lift the sanctions. Fine. If they don't want to play ball, we don't need to play ball. That's the position of strength. A weaker president would have felt pressured into coming to a deal at any price. So who's defending Trump? Obviously, I am. The usual suspects that you would expect from Trump world have been defending him. Some people on the right, it's sort of a mixed reaction broadly on the right. He's also getting praise from some pretty strange sources. He's getting praise from Joe Scarborough, who the president loves to mock and who Joe Scarborough doesn't seem to feel any love lost with President Trump. And even Joe Scarborough admits, this was probably the right thing.
I would just say, at least for me personally, that seems like the best of all circumstances, where the president continues to communicate with a country that we were close to war with a year ago, that most foreign policy experts gave us a 50-50 chance of having a land war in the Korean Peninsula a year ago. And talked but didn't give away anything, which was the great fear, especially after the Cohen testimony yesterday, which we're going to get to in one moment.
That's right. The issue here is sometimes you've got to walk away. And Joe Scarborough, like a broken clock twice a day, sort of gets it right. His guest right afterwards says, yep, sometimes you've got to walk away. Even beyond the mainstream media, you've got Susan Rice, who is a left-wing foreign policy expert, served for Barack Obama. She was his flack. She was the sacrificial lamb who was sent out after Benghazi to lie for the administration. It really tarred her career. But even Susan Rice, who loves every opportunity to criticize Trump, looks at the situation and says, yeah, this was the right thing to do.
I want to note for people that you wrote the other day in the New York Times of the widespread fear that President Trump would give away too much, be too desperate for a deal. Did he make the right move in walking away?
Yes, he did. For the United States to have agreed to lift all sanctions in the absence of real and complete denuclearization would have been a tremendous mistake.
Of course. And that's not just the opinion of left-wingers like Susan Rice. That's the opinion of right-wingers, like the advisors to the president, like John Bolton, like the president himself, like me. This is just common sense. Actually, the criticism of President Trump with regard to North Korea is that he's been too credulous. He's been too gullible. Oh, he'll let this strong man, chubby little dictator push him around. He'll believe him. We have no reason to believe Kim Jong-un. And so the fear going into this summit was that, well, among people who think the president is an idiot, I'm not among those people, they said, Kim Jong-un is going to razzle-dazzle him, he's going to promise him the world in exchange for the lifting of sanctions. Trump's going to lift the sanctions, and guess what's going to happen? Kim Jong-un isn't going to denuclearize. And then it's the end of the world. Then you've got no leverage whatsoever on North Korea. And then this shows that the president is not overly credulous, is not gullible with regard to Kim Jong-un or North Korea. He was looking to achieve something, but not at any cost. That's a very reasonable position to be in. What is the cost? This is what I want to know from the critics on the right and the left who are mocking him or upset that he walked away from this summit. What did we lose? Well, we walked around with a strong man. We We elevated a strong man to meet with the president. Okay, like whatever. Fine, okay. We wanted something, which is the denuclearization of Korea. We wanted to end a conflict that has gone on now for 70 years. And one thing that we were willing to wager for that, one offering, was that he could take some pictures with President Trump. Oh, okay, fine. Nothing really ventured, nothing really gained, but nothing really ventured, nothing really lost. It was a good shot. I'm glad that President Trump had the political courage to take a risk here, albeit a small risk, and then that he had the political prudence and judgment to walk away when it looked like Kim Jong-un was trying to pull a fast one. Now, the one quote, this is the quote that people are assailing Trump for. This is the one, and this doesn't sound good. I totally agree. When you listen to it, you think, did he have to? I wish he didn't have to say that. This is the line that all of the mainstream media are going to be playing for the next 48 hours.
Those prisons are rough. They're rough places. He tells me that he didn't know about it, and I will take him at his word.
Of Otto Warmbier, that American student who was killed by North Korea, came back and he was brain dead. He died shortly thereafter. Says, well, he's asked, did Kim Jong-un know about this? Did Kim Jong-un do this? And he says, look, those prisons are terrible. Kim Jong-un says he didn't know about it, so I guess I'll take him at his word. Yeah, I get it. What you want him to do is go out there and say, this jerk, he killed an American student. And then like John Wayne, Trump is going to pull a gun out of his jacket and shoot Kim Jong-un on the site. That would feel really good, but that is not reality. That is not what's going to happen. But by the way, for what Trump said here, factually, it's probably true. I don't think that Kim Jong-un ordered the killing of Otto Warmbier because he had nothing to gain and a lot to lose from it. I think probably what happened is they took in Otto Warmbier, they tortured him endlessly, and they tortured him a little too much and something went wrong, and then the kid went brain dead. We still don't know exactly why or how he went brain dead, why or how his torture and his incarceration killed him. And then I think the North Korean regime was terrified. I mean, I think they really wanted to rough him up and use him as leverage. A guy who's dead or dying is not much leverage. They didn't really extract any concessions from it. So just as a technical matter, maybe he's right. But what people are really criticizing him for is that he didn't just assail Kim Jong-un for the North Korean killing of Otto Warmbier. Now, Kim Jong-un says, I didn't know. Yeah, maybe he didn't. I don't think he ordered the killing. Sure, maybe he didn't know. Maybe some guard took it too far. Yeah, okay. Is that awful? Yes. Does that make an American's blood boil? Yes. Does it make us want to go to war? Yes. Here is where you see that Donald Trump is the exact opposite of Barack Obama. We'll explain how in a minute, but first, speaking of protection, We the People holsters, got to make some money. They offer custom-made holsters, all produced in the USA. They design their own holsters in-house. Means they don't use any third-party molds for their holsters. Instead, they design every unique mold in Las Vegas to best fit each and every firearm perfectly. They even have their own 3D design team who measures every micromillimeter of their guns to ensure the perfect fit. You can easily adjust both the cant and ride of your holster so that it will fit comfortably and securely at all times. Every holster has adjustable retention. It's signaled with a click sound, custom printed designs in-house. Thin blue line, camo, Constitution, the American flag, new designs coming out all the time. We the People holsters start at just $37 a piece. So I would say, look, don't cheap out, make sure you get a really quality holster like We the People holsters. Luckily, you can have both because they're very inexpensive as well. They start at $37 a piece. Every holster comes with a lifetime guarantee. Every holster ships free. If it's not a perfect fit, send it back for a refund. Right now, my listeners can go to wethepeopleholsters.com/Knowles, Knowles. Enter promo code Knowles, Knowles, at checkout. Get $10 off your first holster. So that's as low as $37, and shipping is free, and you get an additional $10 off using my promo code. Again, wethepeopleholsters.com/Knowles, Knowles, promo code Knowles at checkout for $10 off. This controversy over President Trump's answer to the question about Otto Warmbier, he says, well, Kim Jong-un says he didn't know. I guess I'll take him at his word. Even though those prisons are really tough. So maybe that explains it. He's being assailed on both sides for that. What this shows is that Trump is the opposite of Obama. Barack Obama talked real tough. Oh, he said the prettiest words, didn't he? And then he gave away the farm. That was the series. Oh, red lines. We're talking tough on the mullahs. And then take anything you want. Flying airplanes full of American cash to drop off with the Iranian mullahs. Thanking Iran for taking our sailors hostage. Anything to get those sailors back. Anything. Oh, no, we'll give away everything. All concessions. Concessions to Syria. Concessions to everybody. But he would talk tough. He'd give good speeches, wouldn't he? And President Trump doesn't talk tough on Kim Jong-un. He talks like he's negotiating. He says, well, Kim Jong-un, he's a smart guy. Yeah, he's a smart guy. Yeah, he says he didn't know about his state's killing of Otto Warmbier. I guess I'll take him at his word. Okay, so he talks really nice. He talks in a flattering way. But then he doesn't give away anything. Which of those two guys do you want to lead your country? The one who tells you every pretty little thing you want to hear and then sells out your country from underneath you? Or the guy who's willing to make rhetorical concessions, but never make any hard concessions, any tangible concessions? Obviously, you want the latter. This walking away reminds me of Reykjavik. It reminds me of Ronald Reagan, 1986. Reagan is there with Gorbachev. They're talking about denuclearization. At one point, they're talking about complete denuclearization. And these talks are going exceedingly well between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. And then, at the very end, Gorbachev says, okay, and you've got to get rid of the Strategic Defense Initiative. This was the initiative that was criticized by Reagan's detractors as Star Wars. You're going to be able to shoot missiles out of the sky, all the, this brand new radical technology. Technology that at the time we didn't even have. And Reagan said, how dare you? How could you do this? And he walked right out, furious, walked right out of the summit. Listen to how Trump's detractors are talking about this summit and wonder, how would they have talked about Reykjavik? Say, oh, well, they should have known ahead of time what the terms were. What a complete failure of Trump's negotiating. What a complete failure of planning. What a complete failure of our credulity with regard to North Korea. Oh, how embarrassing. We legitimized this slave master tyrant by appearing with him as an American president. Oh, what a total catastrophe. What dunces in the White House. That's what they're saying about President Trump's summit with Kim Jong-un. Which of those lines could you not apply to Reagan at Reykjavik? You could apply all of the same lines. And what happened as a result of Reykjavik? 1 year later, we got a nuclear treaty with the Soviet Union. The Reykjavik was 86, we got a treaty in 87. Am I saying that's what's going to happen in North Korea? No. No, I'm hopeful, but I'm not optimistic. There's a distinction there. I hope that it works out. I think it's possible that it will work out. But Kim Jong-un is no Mikhail Gorbachev. Donald Trump is no Ronald Reagan. These are different times, different circumstances, different relationship. But the summit itself, the principle itself of walking out of a summit without a deal, that's exactly the same, 1986, 2019. And the arguments for walking away are way stronger than the arguments for giving away the farm. This is short of the complete denuclearization of North Korea for no American concession. This is the best outcome we possibly could have gotten from President Trump here. So I guess nothing ventured, nothing gained. Good job, President Trump, in not selling out the country. Your predecessors might have done that. Wish we could have gotten a deal. This is my feeling. This is my feeling on all of the news this week. Michael Cohen, bombshell. The North Korean summit walks away. Pretty good. Okay, fine, whatever. Now, on the other side of the aisle, Nancy Pelosi is outlining her priorities. This actually has not really been covered by any major news outlets, or it's been very undercovered. Nancy Pelosi, speaking at Howard University, outlines the Democrats' plan for the new Congress, now that they have control of the House of Representatives. And it really reveals that Nancy Pelosi is a very masterful political manipulator. And she lists her top 9, and then she says, number 10, ooh, that's going to be a little surprise. Ooh, you're going to have to be ready for that. Here she is.
So I'm just going to have this one card that says we have 1 through 10 for the people.
One is the clean up government. 2 is the infrastructure bill. 3 is prescription drugs, to lower the cost of prescription. 4 is the Voting Rights Act. 5 is the Equality Act, which is to end discrimination against the LGBTQ community. 6 is the DREAM Act to protect our dreamers. 7 is Paycheck Theirs, equal pay for equal work, building on President Obama. 8 is today, H.R. 8, House Resolution 8, bipartisan background checks. 9 will be a climate bill. And then we have 10 reserved for something special that will. You have to be ready. You have to be.
10 reserved for something special. You have to be ready. Okay, people are wondering, what could she be talking about? Because if you listen to the first 9, she basically covers all the bases, all the leftist bases. The one policy that she's missing within there is Medicare for all, this totally socialist medicine. But I don't think that's missing. I don't think that's what she's referring to, because she does talk about lowering prescription drug prices. So if she were going to push for Medicare for all, socialist medicine, she would just include it in there. It would be redundant for her to have both of those. The other thing that you notice about those first 9 is they're actually all plausible. What Nancy Pelosi is signaling is she doesn't just want to obstruct. She doesn't just want to slow down Trump's agenda. She doesn't just want to pass or hold a lot of meaningless votes that will certainly get stopped in the Senate, certainly get vetoed. It seems that she's trying to work with the president. Maybe she's learned something from the last couple years. She wants an infrastructure bill. Trump could get behind that. She wants a clean-up government bill. Yeah, Trump could probably get behind that. She wants an LGBTQ Equality Act. You think that's a little further left. Don't forget, President Trump touted himself as the most pro-LGBT Republican presidential nominee in history. You've got equal pay for equal work. This kind of, it sounds like it makes sense. It sounds like a feel-good bill, this pandering to women bill. It's based on the premise that women only get 75 cents for every dollar that a man makes. It's not true at all, but you could see some Senate Republicans maybe liking this. Maybe Susan Collins, these kind of lefty Republicans. Susan Collins likes it. Maybe Lisa Murkowski likes it. Maybe Ivanka Trump in the White House, who has made quite a point of talking about women's issues and really buying the left-wing premises on a lot of those issues. Maybe maybe that kind of works out. Lowering prescription drug prices. You could see President Trump getting behind that. Would play to his base. Okay, so it's all basically plausible. Medicare for all is not plausible. Socialist medicine, that is not a winner. President Trump ran in no small part on overturning Obamacare. That's not going to be it. What she's obviously implying is impeachment. That's the only thing she could be. She says, we're reserving number 10 for something special. Well, is all of that legislation that she just named not special? The climate bill, LGBT, women's bill, this bill, that bill. Yeah, what she's saying is we're reserving it for something that's more special. Ordinary legislation being passed by Congress, that's not special. That's just what Congress does. Impeachment is special. Only Congress can do that. It's a rare occurrence that happens. That's something special. And then she says, we've just got to be ready. Well, you don't have to be ready for all those other bills? No, because all of that legislation, they can go in. That's their agenda for the new Congress. Impeachment will hinge on the Mueller report. Impeachment will hinge on all of the testimony that they're going to call Michael Cohen, they're going to call Eric Trump, they're going to call Don Jr., they're going to call all these people to testify. It's going to hinge on the endless investigations that Adam Schiff is launching. That's why you've got to be ready. And why doesn't she name it? She doesn't name it because right now, impeachment is a loser issue. The majority of Americans, by a significant margin, do not want President Trump impeached. Nancy Pelosi has previously suggested that she wouldn't impeach Trump. She learned the lesson of Bill Clinton. She saw what happened when you overreach, when you try to impeach a president who's basically popular, whose policies are basically popular. Doesn't look good, doesn't benefit in the 90s, didn't benefit the Republicans in the House, and she's worried it won't benefit the Democrats in the House now in 2019. So why does she bring it up at all? Well, because her agenda is plausible. And she's signaling to Donald Trump, I am going to not play as an obstructionist. I'm going to play as someone trying to work with you. And if you do not work with me, if you do not come to the table, then I've got impeachment in my pocket. What she's signaling is she's politically smart. We all know this. She's been in power a very long time. There was a little threat to her power when the Democrats retook the Congress. Some threats, some people said they were going to run for House leadership against her. What did Nancy say? She said, come on in, the water's warm. Chomp, 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 she's a shark. She's saying, I'm not going to impeach you yet. I'm not going to talk about it yet because it's unpopular right now. But the minute I get the opportunity, ooh boy, that's going to be real special. I guess we'll just have to wait. Democratic presidential candidates have other policy priorities, including reparations for slavery. We'll get to that in 1 second. Then, of course, we have the mailbag coming up. But first, I've got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, go to dailywire.com. It is $10 a month, $100 for an annual membership. You get me, you get the Andrew Klavan Show, you get the Ben Shapiro Show, you get the Matt Walsh Show, you get to ask questions in the mailbag coming up. You get to ask questions backstage. We're doing a lot of those these days. You get Another Kingdom. You get this. You get you get the profound sadness of Nancy Pelosi that she cannot yet impeach the president. And it tastes very good. It's a little, it's more of a vintage, we'll put it that way. It's been around Congress a very long time. But you've got those leftist tears right now. Make sure you get the tumbler immediately, because as the Cohen testimony falls apart, as President Trump doesn't give away the farm to North Korea, you are going to need it lest you drown. Come back, and we'll be right back in just 1 minute.